J Squad.
We gotta find. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find. Gotta find that's the first clue. We gotta find that's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue.
Yay, what's going on, everybody? How we doing today? Oh man, it has been a day over here. So, a lot of fun be had. I watched a lot of Smash videos. Been watching some of the arguments around Stellar Blade, and it's not looking good on the Western front, we'll say. I don't think the game's a bad game. I haven't tried it, but I think it definitely undersold itself or sold itself wrong, marketed itself wrong in the West. Like they went for the whole gamers are, you know, gamers and sexuality over it, but they didn't really post any of the gameplay, or at least I didn't see any marketing for the gameplay. And I think it suffered in the West because of that. It worked well in the East, but in the West, I think we ran into some problems. So today, what are we going over? Let's see. We are going over the ALyssa Mercante case against Smash JT, of course. I don't know that outside of like some lawyers I've seen do bits and pieces of it, I don't think I've actually seen anybody fully cover it or like go over it. And I've watched all of Smash's videos on it, and after reading through it and listening to his version of it, it's a very diluted version, right? It's very there's a lot of false accusations in there. I would say a lot of things that I don't think are correct, or that he's misleading the people on. So we're going to go over that today. I'm not going to read the documents word for word. I've pulled out the stuff that I think is important. You can always go word for word on it, but I'm trying to stick to what ALyssa's claim is against Smash JT. What it's not going to be tonight is me saying that who's right or wrong. Is ALyssa going to win? Is Smash going to win? Because I don't know. I'm a shitter. I'm not a lawyer, and even a lawyer probably wouldn't tell you which way it's going to go indefinitely, right? Let's see here, but I'm going to try and make it fun going through it. And then if anyone wants to take a look at it, view it, see what's going on, we will. I mean, it's here for people to look at and see what's going on. So here it is. Mercante versus Tarzia. Is that how you pronounce his last name? Tarzia. Boom, boom, boom. And there's quite a bit that's been going on. And we're going to go through it starting with the initial case, which I actually have right here. Boop. And let's get this. Boom. There it is. Looking nice. A lot of this is like the preliminary statements of, who ALyssa is, what she does. And then she talks down here. She talks about her job at Kotaku and how they were the ire of certain alt trolls. And they got those critical of Kotaku gather in a special forum elsewhere to mock and harass its employees, e.g., reddit.com/ it's r/Kotaku in action. I've gone to this page. It's pretty cancerous, if you ask me. Let's see. Yeah. So just constant stuff on. I mean, they do other stuff in here too, and it seems to be growing less on Kotaku though. Where did document one go? Oh shoot! Oh shoot! Hold on. I'm already messing up today. Boom, boom, boom. 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 Document one. Open with. Boom. There it is. There it is. Among these, vociferous, ceaseless criticism is Jeff Tarzini. I'm just going to call him Smash from now on. A social media influencer who publishes videos related to the video games on popular online platforms, YouTube and Rumble, under the moniker Smash JT. Smash has declared Kotaku to be everything wrong with the video game industry. Yeah, that was kind of a thing that was also said amongst pretty much everybody in those groups. In fact, Smash created a petition on change.org to have Kotaku shut down. Stated, "We demand accountability for Kotaku and exhorting his viewers to join in this movement to uphold the standards we as a community deserve in the video game industry." Tarzi did not stop here. He created a page on his website called Kotaku Detected, where he maintains a comprehensive directory of individuals who work, have worked, or in some way have related to Kotaku, with the intent to spotlight the people behind Kotaku's content and hold them accountable for the actions. So here is boop, Kotaku Detected, all the people involved there. She has this little window on it. And where was it? I meant to say, look at something on here. This is where I say, like, I absolutely don't believe Smash JT or any of his cronies actually believe in free speech, because essentially what this Kotaku Detected and his petition to shut down Kotaku is it's calling for the censorship of free speech. That's exactly what it's calling for. It's ridiculous in itself, right? And then there was a YouTube video, I want to end Kotaku. Boom, boom, boom. Her claim is that Smash is not a mere bystander or collateral commentator, but by his own admission, he exhorted his followers to join us in holding the individuals responsible for the contribution to certain state of games journalism. There's a part where they kind of repeat themselves a little bit, so I'm going to try not to, because this first document, I think, has had some problems. Jeff took aim at ALyssa after Mercante published an article refuting the lies and fabrications and distortions around consulting business of Sweet Baby Inc. I went and read this article. I have some major, couldn't even be original. Had to try and ride over the DEI detected hype. Oh yeah, it's 100% what it is. And I think this is a thing with Smash, is he looks for waves that he can ride on, and the DEI and Gamergate, quote unquote, is an easy one to ride on, right? But I've read ALyssa's article here. I think I get what she's saying about the she says that it's overblown what Sweet Baby Inc.'s method or in this is, but at the same time she fails to mention a lot of the things that pissed people off about Sweet Baby Inc. And that was their letter about, trying to force marketing or their speech where they were forcing marketing when they actually went after Cabrutus and tried to get his account taken down. So I can see where, I mean, as an anti-woker, or as a former anti-woker, if you want to say that, I get the understanding. Like, I don't think her thing, it was not sweeping, but it was very biased towards Sweet Baby Inc. And then these are articles, of course, detected resources created on Smash.com. I think we already saw that. And it's fucking unhinged, in my opinion, to post all of these people's information, pictures, and all this other stuff in there. Is it against free speech? I don't think so. But as it comes with this case, have you missed anything interesting? No, we're just getting started. I was talking about ALyssa's case where she wrote about the debunking, or she debunked the problems with Sweet Baby Inc. But I don't think she really debunked them. She made good points about what I think the company actually is, and then from there, it's gone. Given the context, it's clear targeted harassment. I don't know if it's clear, but it definitely, like, there's not just one fucking thing, right? Smash always says all I've done is give her criticism, but that's not true. He's made a whole web page, made a change.org thing, wanting it to shut people down, which I think utterly failed. I got like 4,000 signatures. So yeah, gamers really wanted that. He's trying to silence news industries. He's trying to silence people like ALyssa, who may have differing opinions. And yeah, I might think their opinions are dog shit, but they're still allowed to have them, right? So what was this stuff, if I remember? This is about kind of his channel. He was never going to. She makes a lot of statements in here, like he was never going to be satisfied. Uh, providing fresh salt for the consumers and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, he's definitely money driven, but after watching a ton of his videos, I think incompetency is a better stake than him being it. But what they're trying to paint him as he maliciously went after this, right? Part of this is defamation, and if they consider Mercante a public figure, malice is going to have to be determined, which that's under contestment, jurisdictions under contestment, as well as the defamation. I think is one of the weaker parts of the of her case, in my opinion. Again, I'm probably going to say this 100 times, but I'm no lawyer. So on or about October 28th, 2024, Smash was given an opportunity to recant his lies and reduce the vitriol in the discourse. Smash took his opportunity to double down on his content, finding new ways to become even worse in his tone, content, and directness as his attacks or calls for harassment. I believe it's this one. This one, this right here, is a pretty unhinged statement, if you ask me. We need to pull every lever to get activists out of the game industry. Like how are people, when you say something like that, how are people going to take it? So, and this is just one comment, right? We're just on one comment made by Smash JT. And there it is again. We need to pull every lever to get activists out of the gaming industry. I don't like activism in the gaming industry. I've said this in multitudes of time. I don't like the talking of it and the way it's been, but they still have a right to say whatever dumb shit they want to say. Whether they agree with it or not. Whether you agree with it or not is one thing, and there's a very big difference, as we'll start to see, between what criticism is and what could look like it's going to be targeted harassment, right? Since receiving an indication that his conduct was illegal and violated numerous state and federal laws, Smash has not only continued to produce content about Mercante, but has continued the very same content which originally transgressed the rather lenient boundaries afforded to him. It began with him, it ended with him. It was by design, them painting as it. Now I want to say, I went and I looked while I was watching Smash videos. Where is my numbers here? Yeah, that seems like Smash is willing to do anything to get his goal. Yeah, and that's kind of my point. Like it leaves it's very open to interpretation. Uh, it's a call to action for sure, but I don't know how. Yeah, I'm sure the tweet is out of context. So I went through and I counted videos. So there's 59 videos. Oh, excuse me. There's 57 videos before the Mercante lawsuit. Yeah, 57 on ALyssa's on the main site. Excuse me, let me get this wrong. There were 57 videos on his main site. There's 59 videos on his that have come out since the lawsuit. It totaled in, and I'm saying this all wrong, it totaled in to a total of 116 videos that mention ALyssa Mercante, and 42 of those were before the website, 57 on the main website, and others. The math is all bad, but 59 videos, 57 videos, 116. These all have either at least mentioned ALyssa, have her picture in it, in the description, or something like that. And this is like within a year's time. Like Smash hasn't been popular that long, but he's been like 116 videos. We're talking like 2 videos a week. It's unhinged. As a result of his focus on Mercante, her rising star in video games journalism, she began a she became a target of further harassment that eventually led to her resignation from Kotaku. And this is like my thing that'll come up later because she talks about him celebrating it. And I remember when that came out, they very much celebrated her getting fired from her job. And have made baseless speculations about her getting jobs with places like Sweet Baby Inc. and all of this other stuff. They really just kind of make shit up. So this case is not simply one of being mean to someone on the internet. Uh, This is a case where an outraged merchant looking to boost his own profile has latched onto a journalist merely covering the noteworthy news of the day and made it his mission to lie, distort, fabricate her for views, clout until she leaves the industry. Rather, this is being a case with free speech of Smash. This is about a coordinated outrage of harassment ultimately aimed at silencing ALyssa Mercante via the old fashioned and illegal tactics of yellow journalism. Libel, harassment, violation of civic rights, the intentional infliction of such emotional distress that people retire from the marketplace of ideas altogether rather than face the daily attacks of mindless and savage mobs. Now, I do have to say this, like, he latched onto a journalist merely for covering noteworthy stories. A lot of the stuff that ALyssa writes that I've seen, while she does write other stuff, I mean, Kotaku is known for rage baiting gamers. That was kind of their thing. That's how they got their clicks, and it's why I think they ended up failing now, because that kind of rage bait only lasts so long before it burns out. Same thing's happening with the anti-wokers of today. Which, of course, I got my biggest my biggest block of all time with Endymion. Let's see here. Daily attacks from a mindless savage mob. Yeah. So she's claiming harassment, she's claiming defamation, and other things. What were the three? I got them up here. So she's claiming defamation and defamation per se, bias related to violence or intimidation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, tortoise interference with a contract that has her losing her job. And then this is the one that they like to use for the scare factor to get everybody all worried, is the common law stochastic terrorism and or prima facie tort. I personally think this has this has no real, from what I've looked at, no real laws around it, right? So this is the one that they're saying they're trying to make a law on, and they're acting like if she loses the case, damn dude, I got blocked by Indy on my alt account during this dumb shit on Starfield. That's funny. I think I got blocked because I sent the clown image to him in one of his chats or something like that. But the stochastic terrorism is, I don't see this getting pushed through, one, in our current administration, though they have been, while they haven't called what they are doing is trying to silence sclerotastic terrorism, with it when it came to like the Palestinian college students and stuff like that. I still don't see this law making it through. And even if it did, it would be like the state of New York maybe makes a law on it, and then it would get knocked out in the Supreme Court when someone got arrested for it. That's my belief. I've trust enough in my government and the Constitution that the Supreme Court at the very least would knock this out. But the four other ones, the defamation case we're going to go over. I think it's pretty weak. Here's one thing that I have to hit on them that Smash was pretty mad about, is they actually posted his full address in this. And yes, it's a legal document, but they should have, I think, at least redacted it. They do redact it in the Second Amendment to it. And then so we got Mercantes is a citizen of New York. Jeff is the citizen of California. The amount in the controversy case is more than 75,000 because Jeff commercials enterprise I wouldn't be sure about the USC not overreaching. I mean, I think there are problems with it and trying to get into the overreach. I just I have faith, I guess. And anyway, a lot of them are pretending if Jeff loses that all of these things will get chosen, and that's not the case, right? They could say, all right, he's got him on, defamation. The scholastic terrorism one is bullshit. We'll see. We'll see. I'm not saying there's not a fear there. I'm saying I have more faith in our government putting away, not necessarily in California. Boom, boom, boom. So basically, she's saying it up here that it's going to, yeah, I have hopium, a lot of hopium in my country. And then I have this. Never mind. I'm not gonna say that on stream. Uh, just Second Amendment reference. We'll go there. So she's it's exceeding 75,000. She says Smash has made 75,000. Looking this up, that has something to do with the law. On that case, that it has to be so much. This I completely like. I skimmed through, but I don't care about the history of Gamergate. Uh, a lot of this is Gamergate targets Kotaku, Tarzi's mission to end Kotaku, who ALyssa Mercante is, who Smash is. Let's see here. And then here's the escalating campaign for negativity towards ALyssa. She kind of goes over how he was small before and then mentions Smash and Tassie going at it. I guess this comment was where he really started to grow a little bit, at least on Twitter, or the site formerly known as Twitter. Boom. A lot of this is just going through like his growth, and then we get into what actually happened around ALyssa. Right. In early March, he published the title "Sweet Baby Inc. Gaming Narratives Exposed," which he included a screenshot of one of Mercante's Twitter posts with the caption, "Of course, Kotaku joins the cause." And we can pull that up. Let's see if we can get that in to see it, because I can't even see that. Oh, I guess it doesn't have her message anymore. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, this is Chris Kinder, all the Sweet Baby Inc. stuff. The source. I don't see the one for, oh, there it is. And then here it is. Which this is a pretty this is a pretty dumb statement, but a typical one amongst lefties, right? Boom. When the term Gamergate 2 was coined to describe the latest foray. I I hate that it was termed Gamergate 2 because I don't think it has any actual fucking real merit or connection to Gamergate 2 besides gamers hating something that game journalists, gaming companies do. Like it just seems it's not the same thing, I would say. Which I might be going over more Gamergate original content if I can find more. I've seen a couple of videos that's been given out to me. Let's see. Vincent gave a few. In early March 2024, Smash shared X, formerly known as Twitter, a post that read Kotaku accountability summed up with a screenshot of a conversation between Miss Mercante and Mark Kern, another right-wing popular culture influencer. Where is that one? As the gets exposed. Let's see what she said to Grums. So I don't remember what this was. Oh, discourse. This. Oh, is this it? Never meet your hero. Oh, this is when he was. This is the Grubbs stuff. I guess he got mad. I don't know who Jeff Grubbs is. I didn't look into him. Maybe I should have. I'm still learning all the characters around this. I guess Jeff Grubbs blocked him. All very sad. Boom, boom, boom. But to me, it was just like a little. This is kind of a little bit, throughout March and April 2024, he continued to go after Mercante. There was some stuff like this, and then I think this is where we start to get to like some of the meat of what they're trying to say. On May 6, 2024, 24, Jeff made his aims clear, stating on the Smash JT website, "I want to shut down to Kotaku, along with hashtag in Kotaku." So this is the day that it happened. Probably not. And then join us in holding these individuals responsible, which he said before. And I'll say this as we kind of go through this, and I've looked back on Smash, he does statements like this all the time. Jeff loves to freaking make statements to action. And by hold accountable, this is what she's saying. He is speaking in code for harass into silence. I think you're giving him too much credit here. I have to remember that this is them trying to paint him in the worst light to take it into court so that they can show all the evidence that would connect him. But I personal beliefs from a non-lawyer guy, I think he's just incompetent. With one side of his mouth, he will feign harassment as bad and warns his followers against it while showing his actual approval for such tactics. Actually, we'll see he does this in the same statement. He can't make it to the end of the statement without saying that he's okay with it. In his own actions, to liking or reacting publicly and positively to harassing statements made against his targets by others. Kotaku refuses to hold their employees accountability for their inherent actions. If you want something done right, sometimes you have to do it yourself. Again, this is another fucking unhinged statement. Why would you say this? Oh man. On May 17th, 24, Jeff posted a story about how a malefactor purchased the domain name. Oh, I meant to silence that out, but that's okay. And utilized the domain name to harass Mercante and her sister. Now, here's the point of this. He posted this fucking story. Like, this was, by all means, at the time, a dox. And it had nothing to do with with Mercante herself, right? They, stole her website, or they made a website in her name and went through it. And then he attempted to distance himself from the harassment, but could not help egging it on. And this statement this is what I'm talking about. It's a fascinating scenario to witness in real time, especially considering the apparent hypocrisy in Mercante's statement. To be clear, yet again, I do not condone anyone harassing ALyssa Mercante or her family members. But the irony of the situation is undeniably hysterical. Search it's not cancel culture, it's accountability culture sometime. Yeah, I will. This is absolutely not, this is not him stating you shouldn't harass somebody. This is him stating, it's fascinating that the harassment happened. He posted the harassment, so he pushed it through to his audience. And then, I do not condone anyone harassing people, but it's funny as hell, right? ALyssa posted the sister thing on her Twitter feed before Smash made the video. Is that okay? I can go with that, nobody. But why did he post it off to everyone else then? If it's not so much. So this will come out in court, and I hope I see this. So I'm going based off of this evidence here. And I could believe that. But for now, I'll agree with, I'll agree to that could be the case for that one. But this not but. We'll move on from that. I can agree. I can wait and see when the what's it called? Discovery comes out, because I'm thinking it's going to go to Discovery at least. But I don't. This statement right here is absolute lunacy, right? And Mercante does have a big problem with that, posting people doing things to her. But even as Smash, yes, she posted it, but should you? Interesting prediction. That would be interesting. Yeah. It's dependent on a lot. I'm not a lawyer, again, for the fourth or fifth time, but I think there's going to be some case or idea on the harassment side of it. That's how it makes a difference. How does that make a different? I just don't understand the relevancy of that. I mean, it's still posting it out more. Like if nobody's got me thinking about it, if what is it called? If a docs comes out, right, and someone says something about it, is you posting it, not, about it, making it a bigger thing, wrong ethically? Because I don't like a lot of the, well, she did this argument about it. So if it's some, funny shit, like I can talk about like reposting some of her pictures and making fun of her or things like that, um, in isolation individually. But when you're talking about like personal information, something that Smash is not very aware of, well, he says he's very aware of the harm that it can have, but he's not very aware of the situation. Well, she made it public before a video. Not agreeing or disagreeing here. Question is if it merits a harassment campaign. Well, see, here's the thing. Individually, nobody. I don't think a lot of these individual things constitute harassment. But as we get further into it, and it starts to talk about more and more and more, I think there can be a good argument. As stated in May 17th, 2026, the reaction to the harassment of her sister, pure comedy gold. Was it in this statement? I remember seeing this one, but I don't remember if I saw him say pure comedy gold. Oh, yeah, it was up here. No, it's hysterical. I don't remember seeing the pure comedy gold one. It's uncommon for individuals in the public eye to face backlash for their actions, especially when those actions are perceived as unjust or harmful. That fucking statement is probably the most lefty fucking statement I've ever heard. In Mercante's case, her involvement in various controversies may have led some to believe that purchasing her sister's domain was a form of poetic justice or retribution. While professionally, I'd say this is not an appropriate or mature response, it does certainly highlight the consequences of one's actions. You know what I fucking hate more than anything is when the left was constantly telling people that you weren't free of consequences. Right? That's my fucking problem with this statement. It's this lefty fucking SJW rhetoric of it's unjust and harmful that ALyssa is writing her lefty fucking content, and that it's consequences of one's actions. It's not consequences for you to harass somebody to the point that they don't want to speak in the free market. So right there, this statement tells me Smash JT is not a free speech guy. He's only wants the speech that he has. We'll go more into that as we go through it, though. And I'm being a little hard on Smash. There are things that ALyssa has done with this case that, like the spreading of the address and stuff like that, that I definitely disagree with. The names I think could have been redacted, like yours, nobody. But I understand. I'm still looking into your case, and I might watch some of your videos live, we'll say. Yeah, consequences culture. It doesn't allow, like, the consequence of your actions doesn't allow for somebody to use that to stifle your free speech, period. Kotaku is a mess, while her employer, Kotaku, has yet to publicly state any reprimanding for her actions, and in some cases even defend her. I don't know what actions that they're talking about in particular. I've got to go back through that. I'm going to probably start A-logging Smash quite a bit because I want to know more about this. It may have swung the internet into taking a response for them. This is unfortunately what happens in the public space when an employer refuses to acknowledge or act appropriately to the correct issue. Let me take this moment to once again remind you that I've petitioned to #end Kotaku. He does make a statement in here. Um, May oh yeah, actually you're right. It was in terms of that, which I think we get. I've watched the thing on that, and Smash. My personal thing is I think Smash overblows it. I do think it's completely inappropriate for her to uh, message the wife. The message of the wife to the wife I've read is very milk toast. Like you can say it's polite. It doesn't make it not unethical to do, but it's you can't compare it to some of the other harassments that ALyssa has been receiving, right? The problem with this whole case is how do you determine that the harassment is being done through Smash? And I think that's where it's very murky. uh, it may have swung the internet. Yeah, like taking response. Uh, it's surpassed 3,000 signatures. It never passed more than like 4,500. This one I didn't know about. Like, I don't know what this has to do with anything. Chris Kinder has chosen to go this far and act like a mentally ill, vengeful terrorist online. Excuse me. Hmm. I call this playing fair. Like that's unhinged, but I don't know what this has to do with anything. Well, I do because later on they go into more details of what they're trying to do. Jeff claims that his harassment campaign um, have real effects upon the industry, giving him every incentive to continue this behavior. Jeff crosses the line on March 30th, 2024. Jeff posted horrification. What's that? Like what ALyssa Mercante does, sucking dick in her off time for money from his Twitter account. I could probably censor myself when saying that, but you know. On April 1st, he published the video on his YouTube channel saying ALyssa Mercante has since come forward stating that she used to be a sex worker. You have a lot of the same views me and McDizzle had when we were chatting live. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'll talk to it more as we get down into this portion of the case, but I think I might, in general, have some of those same views. There's a lot of speculation around this, but I think it's pretty proven now, and we'll see later the direction of this. The same day, Jeff repeated these claims on the Smash JT. And this is kind of the thing we're getting into, right? Where I'm wondering if there's going to be a case for it. This statement by itself, you could, like, for defamation, which is this is the statement they're using for defamation, I think is pretty weak in on itself. Uh, I'm a free speech guy. I'm not a free speech absolutist. No one is, if we're all honest. Uh, but from my taking of free speech, yes, this is an unhinged way to say it. But does it break defamation? And I think the second portion goes more into detail than the first one. That same day, Jeff repeated these claims on Smash JT's website. Jeff repeated these claims on the YouTube channel on May 1st and May 3rd. Such conduct constitutes the crime. Oh, they do go into it here. Such conduct constitutes the crime of prostitution under New York 230, which is listed under Title M of the New York Penal Offense. These claims are false. This is why I think this is weak, because you're trying to determine like what he said was illegal prostitution, or is he talking about an OnlyFans chick, which wouldn't be illegal, right? Again, this by itself, I don't think is going to constitute defamation. Uh, Although many people requested the source of his claims, Mercante made these statements herself. Tarzi has never provided the source. Well, he's provided a source, but it was proven wrong. And then other sources were brought up later, right? Tarzi's statement was intended to give him audience and impressions. He had special access to something underlying the factual claim, namely that he had seen or had access to some form of media and had come forward, stating that he engaged in that she engaged sucking dick for money. Right. So I agree with you, Kimoji. Sucking dick is different than having sex for favors. But how do you prove which way he was talking about it for the statements? Like an OnlyFans chick, yes, gets paid to suck dick, and so does a prostitute on the street. Where is where does this statement, sucking dick for money, fall into that category, right? And that's where I think it's kind of weak. Um, though, while I'm not a lawyer, I think Coleman in his rebuttal fumbles pretty hard on that. I'm sure there's a few JT statements implying she sucked dick to get jobs. I believe it. I haven't seen anything like that, but there may come up in Discovery. She openly said she was a cam girl. It's later on in Ron Coleman's docs. Yeah, we're going to get to that. Cam girl doesn't necessarily mean sucking dick. I think what I've seen of it is that she was more of the person who just showed her body, right? So and I'm with you on this. I don't agree it's defamation for him calling her that. But it also hinges on whether she's a public figure or not, because it's a lot easier to do these claims if she's not a public figure. Man, my throat is like messed up today. Boom, boom. On information and belief, this is a statement you'll see quite a bit that is kind of like we've seen or believe we've seen. Made based on secondhand information is basically what it means. That Jeff has made dozens of videos about Mercante since March 22nd of 24. One of these videos publishes to Smash JT's YouTube. ALyssa Mercante is obsessed with me. In this video and in the companion article, Jeff gives an unusually straightforward and direct statement about how he understands internet harassment to work, stating that intentionally invoking a person's name, identity serves as a calculated strategy. Goodness, hold on. Serves as a calculated strategy to incite followers to outsource the task of doxing. So I find this statement funny because I have heard him say this before and then do the exact same thing against McDizzle, right? We can watch the video too.
ALyssa Mercante is obsessed with me. I'm talking stage 5 clinger. There's nothing I can do to shake her. So I might as well keep reporting on it because it gets good views and it draws eyeballs to what a complete nutjob wacko that this woman actually is. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. And ALyssa Mercante can't stop talking about me. Even though I have her blocked and she apparently has me blocked, I have people sharing screenshots with me of her talking about me daily, many times, multiple times, quote tweeting herself, retweeting herself, replying to her own threads about me. And as I told her initially in our first interaction on Twitter that I'm married, she needs to go and find somebody else. That actually caused her to reach out to my... Okay. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for the full article breaking down ALyssa Mercante's obsession with yours truly. She just can't stop talking about me. Now, just a quick recap to catch you all up because this actually matters. I was wondering in my mind why she keeps talking about me. I feel like this was in the past. We're done. We're moving on and going on with our lives. Whatever. We said what we said and we move on. She can't do that.
Well, Kimoji Smash videos might be altered now that the same guy was going after him. A couple in the case have been deleted. And that's possible, but there's still a lot of stuff up here that fits with what you see in the case.
And I realized why that is, but in order to explain that, we need to talk about how we got here. It all began back when she was directing her attention towards me on Twitter when I created the petition called End Kotaku on change.org. She let me know her feelings about that and displayed a sense of anger that I retweeted someone who posted a thumbnail.
This is kind of... Oh, goodness.
Attention towards me on Twitter when I created the petition called End Kotaku on change.org. She let me know her feelings about that and displayed a sense of anger that I retweeted. Someone who posted a thumbnail that she took offense.
Oh, look, the scumbag Smash JT, who started a fucking petition to end Kotaku, is platforming him.
Which I undid the retweet when she brought that to my attention, and I figured, okay, we're good. I guess that's a mistake, even though there's really nothing wrong with it, but whatever, if you don't want it out there, I will do a professional courtesy, and I'll remove that retweet from you. What'd she do next? Reach out to my wife, because of course she has to be a homewrecker and try to destroy my marriage, and she goes into deep...
Hi, I'm reaching out because I just wanted you to be aware of the fact that your husband and father and your children are sending heaps of harassment towards women, including myself, and other folks of media over video games. I may not be able to do it today. He's writing articles about me, making videos about me, and even made a petition about me. Today, he shared a post from a man who has been threatening to execute me in virtual reality. I doubt Smash actually knew that. A man who has photoshopped himself pointing guns at me and blood on my face. When I pointed this out to your husband, he deleted his post. He then commented jokingly on the post and made about him platforming a violent man by sharing a petition to end Kotaku. He didn't, and the same man apologized in the video. Did he? I'd like to see that if you've got it for me, nobody, because I'll look at that. When was this sent? So this is over a year ago. Is this one of their, like, how many videos had he made by then is what I wonder on this. That's fine. Take your time. Like I said, with this, I think it's unhinged to bring a family member into it. At the same time, is this before or after his sister did it? This is ALyssa's one, so far, her one thing that I'm like, okay, you probably shouldn't have done this. But this isn't the same stuff that we'll say Chibi is getting, right? And one problem I have with this is Smash constantly brings this one message up in talking about harassment over and over. I think I watched like half of the videos that were talking about harassment or the case he brought this up. Boom, boom, boom. So, yes, it's absolutely unhinged to email his wife. The only leverage I could give to her on this is, did she feel, how did she feel, like, how many videos had been made, how much harassment was heading her way at this time? Because you can't deny that she was harassed. That, you know, if I was under a lot of pressure, I was getting harassed a lot, I couldn't seem to get the guy to stop talking about me. I'm, you know, as a woman might do that. But like I said, don't do this. Don't use people's families. That's unhinged. In this video and in the companion video, Jeff gives a unusually straightforward, direct statement about how he understands. Oh, that's what we were getting to. Fuck me. Fuck me. That wasn't even the point of it, and I got sidetracked. New.
ALyssa
Boom, boom, boom. Playback speed. Oops. I am on it today. Playback speed.
For what? Defamation? Cyberstalking? These are her words on tweets, not mine.
Okay. Spoke to a few already, but if you guys know a defamation lawyer.
Who cyberstalked my wife and DM'd her completely out of the...
Okay. And this is where I start to get into when I have problems with this particular point, because I did want to bring up this video. Her messaging the wife is not cyber stalking. It's unhinged, but it's not cyber stalking. Where'd you DM it at on whatchamacallit? Boop, boop, boop. There we are. Boop, boop, boop. Is it in Discord? Oh, on X. Got it. I'll pull up X. Let's not. Okay, so this is the guy. I found it. It's kind of half-assed apology though.
Want to
Okay.
apologize about talking about executing ALyssa Mercante from Kotaku in virtual reality. I thought it was artistic expression and a political statement, but I guess it was a little gratuitous. I don't want any real harm to come to you, but I want you to lose your job, and I want to help, and I want to kill off IGN and Kotaku corporate horrible games journalism, ruining American culture and ruining gaming. Yes, virtual reality is therapy for me, because people like you, places like Kotaku, people like Joe Biden have messed up reality to the point where it's
Yeah, it's not an apology, and his wanting her death is super unhinged, but wanting the business closed down, I think, is not as unhinged, but it goes against my values.
And it's too dangerous, so I go into virtual reality for the therapy that I need. I can't afford to get married. I can't afford to have a kids. I game a lot. I don't want you ruining my gaming with woke trash. By the way, I refunded police in virtual reality for future fun cops and robbers 2024. Check it out. Check out my Elon Musk tweet in virtual.
Okay, that's just him going over it. Yeah, that wasn't really so much as an apology as him making the statement he's sorry for it. I guarantee you he would do it again. It could have been some kind of backlash that happened from it. So he apologized weekly. I'll keep that up in case someone needs it. Like I said, with that statement, I don't know if he's definitely been unhinged. What's going on, Grizzle? Let's see. Like I said, this is another statement that I don't particularly hold a lot of weight with. Now, the making of dozens of videos, like I've already said, for anyone who just came in, it has turned out to be a lot more than dozens of videos. Good, just feeling 80 because my back. Hey, I understand, man. All of my joints ache, and I'm 40, but you know, with the military, that's probably like 60, 70 in real terms, dog years. Let's see, what was I bringing up? But yeah. Now let's see if we can find the other statement.
When I have done none of that, but yet she is projecting, which is what these types of people always do, once again. I'm not gonna lie, the relentless onslaught of attacks has left me feeling a bit drained, grappling with the weight of unwarranted scrutiny and animosity, but I push forward, knowing what I'm doing has the full support of the gaming community in general. I've had a ton of people reach out to me, thanking me, pushing me forward, telling me they have my back, and what I'm doing is good for the entire gaming community at large.
All right, I'm stopping a little bit on this. Will be the only video I do some pause Andy and stuff on it, but you can't look at just the people who are huffing your farts, right? You got to realize, like, you got to look at the bigger picture. Like, let's look at when you talk about like the Kotaku campaign that only got 4,500. Is that really what gamers are looking for? If only a few people signed up for it, maybe you could make a case that he wasn't very big yet and he would get more now. But you can't just listen to the people that like you.
It's avoiding these types of people and pushing them.
That's why I keep Vincent around, because you know he'll say something stupid. Or say I said something stupid.
Out of our space. But that doesn't stop ALyssa from coming back at me. And she tweeted about me once again.
Do you guys want to see a grift happen in real time? Here's Jeff's YouTube account, which is partly 3 months until, guess what? He started making a dozen videos on me, my coworkers, and queer folks.
You guys want to see a grift happen in real time? And then she uses my full name, by the way, and I'm going to black it out here because I don't use my full name. That's kind of like a unwritten rule when it comes to social media.
Here's the statement.
Based off of what their username is, everyone knows that who stays in bounds. And ALyssa Mercante's username and her editor, she's literally listed on her website as editor ALyssa Mercante. Her Twitter is ALyssa Mercante. Everything has her full name, so I address her as such. If it was something else, I would address her as ALyssa or whatever it was. But by giving the full name, you are subtly implying that you are encouraging your audience to proactively dox the person. It's not even subtle. It's right out in the open. And you know she can be like, oh, I'm not doxing him. I'm not doing anything. That's his name. People have written about him before. He's shared articles with his full name in it. It's like, yes, but when you, a known person that does not like me, starts doing it, it has a different implication. Anyways.
So, I mean, there's the statement right there. That's pretty much what I wanted to get out of it. I don't know how well known his first name or his full name was at this point. I don't know if it was a full dox like nobody. Well, I can't even say. They were going to dox him, right? And nobody doxed himself to, I guess, prevent that, to get on top of it. It's I don't know. I don't know the statements behind this, but if his name was already public and they put it on ground, this is no different than what he did to McDizzle. So he's not really following. His name was well known. He had backed the Amico thing. I've heard about that. I've never looked into it fully. I've asked Smash about that before he blocked me, but he wouldn't give me any info. Or he blocked me right after that. No, he blocked me for a message that I sent during the McDizzle stuff. Anyway, it's just so this is lowbrow. If his name was already known, her pushing it to, I guess, the bigger light, you can make that argument for. But Jeff doesn't follow the same belief, right? So he's kind of like using the argument that this is bad, but later he'll do it. Boom, boom, boom. Tarzi gives the unusual, straightforward, direct statement about how he understands. So what they're doing here, if you want to know what they're doing here, I was already doxxed, and the guy who doxed me tagged Mercante, my personal info beforehand, so I got ahead of it. Okay, I mean, that's fair. If the name was already out there from the docs, then just coming out and saying your own name isn't. I don't have any problems with that, really. I thought it was curious the first time that I heard it, but after learning more about it, I'm like, it doesn't matter for me that much. You getting all hyped up over your full name being in the case thing, though, when it was already previously doxed, that I think is a little overpressing it, because there's a lot of statements around your name being in the case, and other people's names are in the case too. But we'll get there. We'll get there to that point. In this video and in the companion articles, they're trying to prove. They lied about me. We'll see. I haven't fully watched your video yet. We'll get there. We're gonna get there because I have some statements I want to say about it. Stating that intentionally invoking a person's name and identity. So what they're doing with this, let me get back on subject here. What they're doing with this is they're trying to say he knew that saying her name he knew that in saying her name that it would cause more harassment to go his way, because in this video he says even though his name was public, her sending it out there had implications, right? And this is where I think the start of the harassment case actually going to court is. Like, it's one thing if Smash could say, well, I didn't realize that doing that thing would send more harassment her way, when he's already said that he does realize how that works. He further states that such context creates a pathway for harassment and intimidation. Like we said, reckless behavior underscores a disturbing trend of online aggression, where individuals weaponize personal information in pursuit of vendettas, highlighting the urgent need for accountability and reasonable online conduct. That is, Jeff makes a clear he understands doing exactly what he has been doing to Mercante deliberately creates a pathway of harassment and intimidation. But by among these things, intentionally invoking Mercante's name as part of the calculated strategy to incite followers and outsource the task of doxing. So that's what she's saying. Jeff knows that saying people's names and talking about them will send more harassment. I'm spreading a dox of many people. Did that with rags. I'm called spreading a dox. Many people did that with rags. Not good, but depends on the intent it is done with. It's hard to determine. Well, it's like it's how well known was the person's name, right? People are saying Smashes was pretty well known. I didn't really get introduced to him until I started paying more attention to the overall community. But yeah, using someone's name doesn't necessarily spout that it could cause harassment. I would rather look at the results of things instead of guessing at the intent. True. But you have to, like, big part of this is going to be in proving intent, right? That's what they're trying to do with this case. They're trying to say he knew that it would bring me harassment, so Smash JT sent harassment my way knowingly. That's what they're trying to do with that statement. Unless I'm completely off base, but that's what that reads to me. He has posted over 100 tweets. He's actually posted, what was the number again? 116 videos as of today. And then 50 of his blogs. And this is where, while the defamation case might not have any weight, the harassment side of it, the bias related to violence or intimidation, which that one, if they go the path they're going down, I think is going to fail. Not a lawyer, don't know. Intention to inflict emotional distress, I think that one has the strongest notion. And the tortious interference with a contract, I think that one also has really strong notion. And it's on this thing as like, yeah, individually, each of these things aren't necessarily part of the harassment, but how much of, like how many times can you make a video about somebody where people are going to harass that person? Does it start to become a harassment campaign, right? And on the second doc, we get into Nobody and a bunch of the other people, the orbiters around Smash, that we'll talk about. This course of conduct has continued even after Mercante blocked Jeff on Twitter in an effort to reduce his ability to see her posts and tag her in the harassment. And then in or around July 2024, the notorious doxing website, I hate when they call this website notorious, Kiwi Farms, posted ALyssa Mercante's private information. Jeff immediately put out a video that Mercante had fled Twitter when karma came for her. When Mercante sent a well, that's sort of the point of the cease and desist, which Smash just mocked. Yeah. I mean, that's the whole point of a cease and desist, is to say, hey, if you don't stop doing this, we're going to sue you. When Mercante sent the demand letter of retraction, Jeff and others posted the demand letter, increased the mockery and abuse towards Mercante. On information and belief, this torrent of harassing communication was done with the intent to deprive Mercante of her chosen counsel and to punish her for attempting to remove her personally identifiable information. So let's see. This is one that I wanted to watch too. Mercante flees, because I'm trying to get it out of Jeff's mouth too.
I feel like this channel's turned into, instead of saying, hey guys,
I'm sorry, y'all have to listen to Smash on 1.75.
Well, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions. This time we have ALyssa Mercante.
There it is again, the consequences of my own actions. A very fucking lefty statement.
Fleeing Twitter in a situation where karma has come full circle, and she can't take the heat. Before I go too far in this video, I want to be absolutely clear with everyone on my stance with this stuff. I do not condone doxing in any way, shape, form, manner, however you want to say it. Do not ever go there with anyone. Even if you feel like somebody else is opening that door and they're kind of towing that line and maybe even dipping over it in their own world, it doesn't mean that you're allowed to jump into the game with them and fight fire with fire. Two wrongs don't make a right, even if you're on the left in this situation. Now with that out of the way, let's get to talking about this ALyssa Mercante doxing situation, if it's real, and what happens next. Hit the subscribe, give me a like, and check out smashjt.com for all the information, screenshots, and references that I'm going to be talking about in this video. So ALyssa Mercante, just to give you guys a TLDR catch up real quick on this, she contacted my wife, unprovoked, trying to insert herself into my real life and trying her best to destroy my marriage. And a lot of people out there are saying, you know what?
I'll just to make a quick statement of this. I don't think she was trying to destroy his marriage. I think her more point was to point out what he was doing. I don't know the full thing. I don't know ALyssa's mind. She can definitely be a little unhinged, but I don't. This statement is just trying to take it to the worst extreme, right?
All right, that's enough. This has gone too far. Take your foot off the gas, start applying the brakes on the situation, and let's all take a deep breath back. And I say, no, we're done when I say I'm done.
We're done.
So instead of having a conversation like, hey, this is going too far, we're starting to get into family members, let's have a conversation about it. He's saying that she said it's done when I'm done, or was that him?
Let's all take a deep breath back. That's enough. And trying her best to destroy my marriage. And a lot of people out there are saying, you know what? All right.
Okay, yeah.
This has gone too far. Take your foot off the gas, start applying the brakes on the situation, and let's all take a deep breath back. And I say, no, we're done when I say I'm done.
Yeah.
When I say we're done.
When you come after my relationship, you don't get to make the rules on when I stop talking about you. She left it yesterday telling everyone that she was taking a break from Twitter, and I was under the assumption that she was going to step away for a while because she couldn't take the heat. She was getting out of the kitchen. And she wrote, "I'm taking a break from this shit. Friends know where to find me," with a heart emoji. So clearly, the internet is getting to her. Even though she opened up the doorway herself, and she brought this all on herself, by the way. Like, she's not innocent as much as she tries to.
Mass shooter mentality. It's definitely unhinged. It's like it's escalation, but it's like over escalation, right?
Play the victim here. Let's be crystal clear about this. In a message she wrote on Twitter, you could DM
me any of my posts to and they'd be like, cool, bet, yep, that's her. Why are you showing me this? Okay.
any of my posts to my fiance or my parents, neither of whom have social media, but sure. And they'd be like, cool, bet, yep, that's her. Why are you showing me this? And
Evening lurking, playing the altars, man. That's one I haven't started yet. Me and my buddies have been playing Dune, but man, I can't wait to jump in. It's just like RimWorld, but with one person.
Was trying to get at with that, where she was trying to do like the eye for the eye. She reached out to my wife and she was just telling my wife about how awful of a person I am, and that's why it was justified, and people could do that to her significant other or her parents, and it would be totally justified if they had social media, but they don't. So this kind of implies that you want people to go that extra step. And
no, it doesn't imply that she wants people to go the extra step. She's implying that what she said, if you said to her family, hey, this is what ALyssa does, then she would be like, yep, that's right. That's what my daughter does. Versus, like, she's not making an implication about it's okay to call family members. But it doesn't make her calling the family member right.
if you can't see that yourself, I can't help you. And sure enough, they did. Proof of the doxing is brought to us from Will of the Fans. I saw this on Twitter yesterday.
And this is the thing, all right, we just heard Smash talk about putting stuff out, putting people's names and things like that out in public so that other people can go see it, is an implication of harassment or, and all of that other stuff. The statement he just made, and in this video, he's putting it out in the open. Hey, guess what? Her docs is out there. Go find it.
The account and I blocked it myself right away. I didn't screen cap it.
Reporting the account and then blocking it isn't doing the ethical thing.
I didn't want anything to do with this stuff, but there's been a lot of people coming forward saying, oh, it's ALyssa just playing the ultimate victim once again, and she just wants the attention from everyone and wants people to feel bad for her because it's worked so well for her in her entire career, where she starts throwing swords at everyone, and then when they start getting thrown back, she cries, "Mama, I need help. Everyone's coming after me. I can't."
Okay. The problem I have with this is Smash is saying that she's doing this victimhood, right? Where are the tweets? Like, compare this to Chibi Reviews, right? Who I've gone after a bit on, or I've made videos on, we'll say, his constantly crying about his docs and his harassment and all this other stuff. And part of that is he's spreading it as much as anyone else, right? He probably would have no one would have ever noticed his docs if he hadn't put it all over the internet, that it had happened, with the tweet from the guy who had it. So far on this, I'm not showing any messages where ALyssa is saying, Kiwi Farms doxed me, guys. I'm such a victim. I'm such a victim. It seems like she tried to stay quiet, and then Will of the Fans brought it to everyone's attention.
Can't take the heat, and some people going so far as to say that.
And was that Will of the Fans who crossed it all out, or was that Smash that crossed it all out?
She was doing this to herself. I do not believe that to be the case because I've been doxed many times. The difference is I don't go on social media crying about it to everyone. I don't say, oh,
Where is the crying?
I'm getting doxed, I'm getting doxed. It happens, okay? If you're going to be a public-facing figure, you're going to put your face out there. Unfortunately, and this really sucks to say, it's par for the course when you enter this world. As much as you don't want it to be there, it just is. It's reality, and it sucks, which is exactly why I say, as much as I do not like this person, I do not condone it after them, because I don't want it ever coming at me. So it's the golden rule. Treat others like you want yourself to be treated, especially when it comes to personal situations and personal privacy.
I tell you right now, like, I have thought about the doxing situation if I get any sort of platform on this fucking site. And both sides have crazies. Crazy. Yeah. I've thought about that situation. And the best thing that you can do, the people who get through it are the ones who don't, voice it out there. But that doesn't mean if someone like Smash JT forced my docs out into the open, that I wouldn't call him out for being a shitbag for doing it, right?
When she reached out to my wife, that breached a unwritten rule of social contact on social media. You don't go there. You don't do that. And for whatever reason, in her fucked up mind, she has justified this. And she even said today, even though she said she was taking a break from Twitter yesterday, she's already back at it again, talking about the doxing situation and trying to justify why it was okay to reach out to my wife and how that's different from doxing. Quick thing, doxing is not reaching out to someone's significant other and sending a polite message. Doxing is posting someone's home address. Thanks. Okay, so here's the thing, before I even go on to her second part of this, it's interesting how she phrases that. Like, the framing of the sentence is so one-sided, and I don't think she even sees it herself. But she said right there, reaching out to someone's significant other and sending a polite message. How do you define a polite message? It was, to me, one of the rudest messages you could ever send to someone's significant other. Trying to destroy their marriage because you have a Twitter beef. Like, that's beyond fucked up. Like, I don't know what to tell you other than go seek help if you think that was normal, because it's not. Normal people don't do stuff like that. But she continues. Continuously making content in which you denigrate me, repeatedly DMing me,
It's unhinged. I agree. It's unhinged for someone to reach out to someone's wife to do that kind of stuff. It's not the same as doxing. Let's be clear. It's not the same. Like, yes, she went to Smash's wife and said, hey, this is what's going on, and you can take it as being a mean comment or a polite comment. That's to be determined by the person. Did she post his wife's Facebook account for people to go and harass? No. Now, what Smash did is technically not doxing, but it is bringing that dox to the forefront when it was behind the scenes, something that Smash has condemned.
I feel like this channel's turned into, instead of saying, hey guys, welcome to another episode of Smash JT, it's, well, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions. This time we have ALyssa Mercante fleeing Twitter
Did
in
it
a
go
situation
back?
where karma has come full. Someone's home address. Thanks. Okay, so here's the thing, before I even go on to her second-sided message. How do you define other? To tell you, continuously making content in which you denigrate me, repeatedly DMing me, misgendering my coworkers, photoshopping my face. Okay, so she is talking about a number of different people in a number of different situations, the entire gaming community or Twitter community in general coming back at her, aka karma. She's piling that all into one tweet here. She's not specifically speaking to me. She was in the first one based off of her actions reaching out to my wife, but now she's expanded that to the entire community. Continuously making content in which you denigrate.
So is this docs before, or is this message before or after Smash JT's docs? I'm guessing it's after, or not Smash JT's docs. Smash JT promoting the docs and Will promoting the docs. Because if it is, she's not crying about the docs. She's crying about people pushing her docs to wider audiences, right? Because it's never just Smash JT. It's Will of the Fans. It's all the other orbiters, like 8-Bit Eric and all those people will all push it as well to their audiences. And while there's overlap there, they still have their own. But she is correct there. Will of the Fans is in ALyssa's comment sections himself. If that's not being part of the harassment, I don't know what is. But she's still correct there. Yes, it is unhinged. I do wonder if people found his wife via Facebook link he has on his website, someone like ALyssa. I mean, yeah, it's definitely, she didn't promote anything. He did in this case. That's what she's crying about. That's what she has a problem with, right? Definitely Will of the Fans pushing it out there. And to me, it's just as unhinged for Will to post her docs as it is. It's more unhinged to me than for her to message the wife. Both are unhinged, but one, you're spreading it to thousands, where one is one message. And all I've ever seen is one message to the wife.
Denigrate me, repeatedly DMing me, which ironically is what she did to me, repeatedly DMing me.
Yeah, I've seen this, and she's definitely not a wordsmith. She's sending it when she's in emotional, we'll say, typical woman behavior. And your ilk are sending harassment towards countless people for clout. That man couldn't fucking kill that man could. Oh, this is about the guy who said he was going to kill people. That guy probably would. We'll say. Yeah, I mean, this is her being upset and emotional coming into his thing. Could she have tried to come in nicer and said, hey, you're doing all this talking about me, it's getting out of hand? Sure. But what people are going to do that when you're constantly getting all of these death threats and emails and stuff like that? I've said before, individual death threats aren't necessarily a bad thing. They even fall under freedom of speech, right? Death threats fall under freedom of speech. It's the what is it called? The intention.
I never reached out to her, but again, remember, with these people, that road is a one-way street. Misgendering my coworkers, I guess I'll take credit for that one. You have someone who came at me on Twitter yesterday who is cosplaying as a woman, cosplaying as a girl.
I think that's pretty much.
To live in this fantasy land, which aired on Twitter, telling people to do whatever they wanted. Like, she brought this all on herself. The cause is bad. I'm hard. It's being.
And this is a constant thing I hear with it, is that she's brought this all on herself. Consequences of her actions, like somehow that makes the death threats deserved, makes all the harassment that she does get deserved, right? It's not a good look to say. It's something that we would have been authors doing well for a lot of people, not giving it more attention. I think overall she might have known doing this legal thing at first showed nothing, but to be honest, the whole year since, I think she knew there would not be able to help themselves. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't know her intent for it. I think she just wanted it to stop in the long run at some point. I agree. She has this problem with fighting back, which only increases the harassment more because then they'll make a tweet about her, like one little tweet. Let's see. You make him look like he is performing a sleight of hand trick. Well, here's the thing. That's kind of the way that they're perceiving him as. And I don't agree with that, but I understand why they're doing it for the case. Hey, hold on, guys. I got to say goodnight to my kid. Sorry about that. They just got home from watching the Lilo and Stitch movie. Why people give so much power to her either. She's not even been really that big. Once SBI stuff died off in the media wise, it was nothing. I understand the vitriol behind Kotaku. I've been very much, a hater of Kotaku for a long time. So, there's that love to see the downfall of groups like that. I never even paid attention to the people who are behind the articles. I don't care. Like I said, they're allowed to spew whatever filth they want to into their articles, whether they call themselves a gaming channel or not, or gaming news or not. So the entire premise of in Kotaku is completely against free speech to me, period, as it is. And a lot of this stuff about them celebrating her getting fired and kicking her out of the spaces is the same thing as well, which we get more and more. As a direct proximate result of Jeff's direct harassment of ALyssa Mercante, it's hard to say if that's direct harassment, as well as his constant knowing intentional exhortation of his legion of followers to do the same. ALyssa Mercante has suffered the following damages: injury to her professional reputation, loss of employment, loss of status, and goodwill in the industry she covers. Injury to her personal reputation, loss of economic opportunity, loss of income, and mental anguish. So that's what they're going for, kind of on some of those things. They repeat themselves a lot here. Then we got this one is, I don't even know why they put this in here. This is just complete shit to me. Jeff Tarzini use of Mercante's images to advertise her channel. Using your image in a channel, as long as it's not like a direct use of someone's thumbnail or someone's only that picture, I'm sorry, that falls under fair use. I don't know if they bring up I don't remember if they bring up they don't really bring up the nudity, but there's like, he didn't give consent to use her likeness. I'm sorry. Welcome to the internet as a whole. There's some arguments around some of the sexualized images he's used of her, which I've seen worse. But yeah, this is fine. This doesn't, I don't think there's any merit to putting that stuff in. On September 10th, 2024, Jeff tweeted, "Is this the find out part that certain activists keep going on about in regards to me?" And yeah, it's just him talking about how he went from a smaller channel to a larger channel. You know, good for him. Even if I don't agree with his retarded takes. His first video about Mercante was published March 22nd, 2024, so a year ago. As a direct and approximate, that just makes the first video on her was March 2022, and the guy has 119 videos on her. It's just unhinged to me. I'll make multiple videos on people like that lefty that I've gone over. I would like to watch another one of his videos, but I'd also like to bring him on stream and like hash some of it out, even though I'm sure he wouldn't, and he'd probably hate me after. Jeff's harassment goes beyond him, as with a rough beast born of. Oh yeah, this statement is just something else. As a rough beast born of fanning the flames of online hate, Jeff's harassment campaign went beyond direct attacks upon Mercante on the channel. They go into the Hassan Piker stuff and him talking about what Destiny said, I guess. Ultimately, ALyssa's behavior continues to reveal her true colors. She is not in this industry to champion games or support games. She's here to push her activism, and Hassan is just another tool for her to do that. You know, they're talking about the really cringy clip where she went up to Hassan and he just kind of completely ignored her. As he stated in no uncertain terms that he will continue to call out Mercante. Here we go. Hold on. Jeff used this controversy to push his pet conspiracy theory about Mercante, that she was not in the video games industry. We just read that. Jeff stated that in no uncertain terms that he would continue to call out Mercante anytime she wrote a piece that did not pass his personal sensibilities about what a video games journalist should do. If this was the case, particularly from my side, if this was her whole case, I would be on Smash's side. And I was originally, even though I didn't like him the first time I heard the case, but I think he goes a little more into it. Ultimately, based on the actions of Jeff, multiple persons contacted and complained about anti-Semitism from Mercante for appearing with Piker under the pressure from Geo in the wake of the harassment campaign. So that's one thing I didn't realize, is that the harassment campaign, her simping for Hassan, is worse than being a Kotaku white writer. Yeah, I agreed. This is the point where she had to leave Kotaku, right? So there was so much harassment and other things that went her way and Kotaku's way that they decided to part ways, right? She agreed to resign, or was let go, whatever you want to say on that part. This is the part that is the tortoise interference with contract. And I mean, you can definitely say some of these statements connected to it. I will continue to call her out, but in here, maybe she gets more into it. Even ever one to utilize the misinformation, others to prop himself up. Jeff gloated that Mercante's leaving Kotaku was a victory for his side, since he believes, hypocritically, that video games journalists should stick to pure games analysis and avoid diving into social political commentary, as it polarizes their readership. I disagree with him here on this take, and I can see where, I'm sorry, diversity of thought, diversity of anything else, always going to be freedom of speech. So this is him basically saying, and this is where I will continue to say that Smash JT hates free speech, is he doesn't want people in his space that don't speak the speech he wants. There's no secret that over the past few years, mainstream gaming outlets have shifted towards editorial content that strays away from any kind of pure game analysis. And there's agreement with him here, I agree, on some of the places, and dives into socio-political commentary, ultimately polarizing their readership. At the end of the day, Mercante embodied the trend magnificently, to a fault. But now, see her departure from part of a potential border reset in the gaming media landscape. As she leaves Kotaku, industry insiders and gamers alike have expressed a cautious hope that this is a signal for a potential return to what many miss: authentic, unbiased, game-focused, but at a very big but. Has games journalism ever been just unbiased, game-focused journalism? Like, you can talk about reviews, but reviews were kind of always bad, especially before ALyssa Mercante, right? She was not like the Kotaku wasn't the arbiter of people complaining about the game's media. You know, IGN 7 out of 10 is the thing I always revert to. People had a problem with the way they did journalism before that. Besides, Kotaku had been mostly a progressive rag for years. Now that's what they were dying. They were dying even before his campaign. Yeah, I mean, these Kotaku and these other smaller articles, groups like that, were, I mean, I hate to say it, but most writers tend to be very left-leaning. It tends to be in the education department that a lot of people tend to be more left-leaning in those kind of views, and especially around news media and stuff like that. Then she goes through a pattern of lying. It's going to go faster after this one because we're not going to repeat the stuff from the other articles. On September 26, 2024, just after receiving the retraction request from Mercante's cancel, Jeff posted false statements regarding her cancel to his Twitter timeline, falsely claiming that her cancel did not work at the firm he claimed. And this is where I'm starting to build this. No, and this isn't the only point. This is another point onto that. How much information does it cause for it to start being harassment? We're giving false claims about the lawyer. You're pulling out you're pulling her lawyer out of the background to talk about him on the case, right? Which may be in public interest, but then just come out and making baseless claims about him. That's to me, that's pretty unhinged. Even after another commentator pointed out that it was easily verifiable that Mercante's cancel worked from the firm he claimed, he refused to amend or take down his post or provide clarification regarding his statements regarding the reputation. After Mercante's leaving from her position with Kotaku, Jeff reported the matter of breathlessly without pause to check his sources and not make further unfounded speculation about Mercante's plans, such as allegedly going to work for Sweet Baby Inc. This entire portion of it where they were like, oh, she's getting a job at Sweet Baby Inc. I was like, where do we have the proof of that? She went to go talk to him. She's a journalist. That's what she does, right? She can still write independent articles that someone may pick up. Fuck me. Okay. Anyways, so that whole thing, let's go back up here. So this is when he started getting calls from, or getting messages about the cuck website that he was put in. Old man. I actually had a part to play in this, a very small part that no one ever saw. I reached out, or I saw that Andy Cortez. I do think he went mute. Can you hear me? Hello? Or are you just fucking with me now? Hello, hello, hello? Now I'm worried I'm still muted. Where is it at? Where is it at? Let's see here. Boom, 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 boom. Where did it go? Where is it? Rookie mistake that I still make. Yeah, it's definitely that. All right, you got me back on. So anyway, the cuck allegations is what we're on. I had a small part to play in this. I had a very small part that I played in this little drama. So Smash, there was a picture posted by Andy Cortez, that was from a cuck website that was named Jeff T Smash and had like a naked wife bent over and all of this. You can bang my wife and blah 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 blah. It was fake. When I saw it, I immediately was skeptical, even though like the normal guys that hate Smash were passing it around. So I went and brought it and said, hey, I'm seeing these allegations against you. Here's where it's coming from. Prove it wrong if it's wrong. Because I believe, like, if I don't believe it, then you should have a chance to debunk it, right? If he came back and didn't, then I was going to completely make fun of him. Cortez eventually reached out and said, "Hey, yeah, I fucked up. I thought it was funny. I didn't check it and see it was real. It's kind of like a half-ass apology." And then Smash said something about he should have just said sorry. A simple sorry. That would have completely went out of line. It was funny. Anyway, that was my part in it. I gave it to Smash, and I talked to the original poster of it. But they wouldn't give me any information on how they got it or anything like that. And then this is talking about on a stream with Ron Coleman. Jeff, wash your crack post, yeah. Jeff basically said that he didn't know Makante. She was the first one that reached out, stuff like this. I think Jeff needs to really stop getting on with Coleman, because he does it quite a bit. He repeated the same line on another stream. And then when they're saying that it's already been proven that he's the one that made a post about her first, or made an article about her first. And then the t-shirt. I've already brought it close. You can go back and watch. It's been manipulated. This, in by itself, I don't care too much about. It's a post that she made. Tarzani knew the statement on the shirt was false, which is what they're trying to push, is that he will consistently lie. So they're trying to break down his character. Tarzi has also commented on Mercante raising money for the trans argument. I went and looked over this whole thing. Smash's coverage of it is fucking terrible. I went over the documents, and a lot of the stuff in their documents shows that it's a legitimate charity. And they, pattern of behavior is what they're trying to build. And while there was some mismanagement of funds, it was about $52,000. It was paid back, and the people involved were separated kind of from the company, right? There wasn't people getting hundreds of thousands of dollars like Smash said, and it wasn't this giant conspiracy. It was two of the people involved misappropriating money without the board's permission. I think it was involved with that. trans hotline, suicide hotline where they said they wouldn't call the cops for whatever reason, but that's all I could get out of it. But they're trying to say that he lies, and while I agree it's a pattern of behavior, I think it's more up to his incompetence in viewing the information. Worse, at multiple points, he clearly implies that he is in possession of further facts. I mean, this I agree with, and substantiates his claims, but which he never bothered to produce because the facts did not exist. So they're saying he's lying. He says he's got facts for it, but he won't ever show them. And then these are the individual cases. The defamation one, all the stuff we already read above about horrification. They're saying that this is defamation. I personally, not being a lawyer, think this is the weakest because we have the First Amendment. Because he's quoted statements that are impinge on the chastity of Mercante. And this is the law they're trying to connect to it. Smash farming something is worse, probably. Way no. He wouldn't do that, would he? I mean, his whole career right now is almost completely based off of farming ALyssa at this point. Second cause of action is the bias related to violence. This one's weird to me. Basically, ALyssa says she's cisgender, bisexual woman. Jeff is a gender presentation. Jeff is aware of ALyssa's gender presentation and sexual orientation. Defendant has engaged in a pattern of conduct that constitutes harassment under Penal Code 240.25. Specifically, he has intentionally and repeatedly harassed ALyssa Mercante by engaging in a course of conduct that has reasonably put her in fear of physical injury. Like this, I agree with. I don't know what the sexual orientation has to do with it. Section 79N provides a civil right of action against any person who intentionally selects a person or property for harm or cause damage to the property of another or cause physical injury or death to another or subjects a person to conduct that would constitute harassment under the penalty code. So she's repeating what the law says. God damn it. I keep doing it to like take a drink or to cough. I just hate how much he mentions doxing bad, but has done it twice this year if we go back to his standards. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to criticize there. It's not doxing though, right? It's taking someone's publicly available information and spreading it to a larger audience is what's happening. We're almost done with this doc, and then the others should go by a little bit faster. Did he actually live stream the Kiwi Farms thread? Because that's fucking unhinged behavior. That's a lot worse. So far, all I've seen is the fucking tweets. That's like, how does that not? When do you start calling stuff like that not harassment? That's my question, right? That's not that is that freedom of speech? It just doesn't seem like it falls under freedom of speech for me on that personal thing. Or if it does, does it, because that's where this is going to come into what's freedom of speech and what is harassment and where that line is at. They said hi back knowing they were live. That's fucked. Under New York Civil Rights Law 79, yeah, we got that. Then the other one is intentional infliction of emotional distress. Here she has some of the, I'm not going to read them out. Tarzi has engaged in extreme and outrageous conduct. Not only has he committed individually the torts set in the fourth complaint, but has conducted, but his conduct has touched a firestorm that has resulted in ALyssa having a daily face unwanted attention, online malefactors. So a lot of stuff like this. It has always been Jeff's intent. He knew before making a single statement about Mercante that some of his viewers would take it too far. And he made the statement he did understand. He did understanding and believing that this type of conduct would result. Kotaku is a mess. While her employer, Kotaku, has yet publicly made statements on her actions, and in some cases even defended her, it may have swung to the internet into taking a response of them. This is unfortunate. What happens in public spaces when an employer refuses to acknowledge... Oh, yeah, I think we already read this one. Yeah, I mean, this isn't a direct call to action, and I don't believe that a content creator is fully responsible for the actions of the people in their community to a point, right? Yeah, but now it's getting murky. Yeah, that's kind of what we're getting at. That includes the severe emotional distress suffered by Mercante, which arises the level. So there we go on that. And then the last one is the tortoise of contract, where they talk about her losing her job because of the harassment. And the final one is the scholastic terrorism, which I think is completely unbiased. New York already has harassment crimes, and harassment laws are starting to find that medium for the internet. That's basically... Oh, this one was a little unspoiled. So that other Kotaku writer had more to say. She said that, and then he says, how many times do I need to teach these crazy bitches this lesson? If you don't want to seem like you're sending your audience after somebody, maybe don't say it like this, right? You could say, look at the shit this crazy bitch is saying, or something like that. Like saying you're going to teach them a lesson is implying quite a bit. Teaching the crazy bitches a lesson, and then he goes furthermore into this. I think this is pretty much it. Despite his claim to consider rebuttal of the facts, most of this other stuff is about the scholastic terrorism. And this is, this court should impose new tort liability for scholastic terrorism in accordance with its sister court in Washington, so that Jeff's wrongs do not go unpunished. So they're basically trying to make a law. This is, undeniable. They're saying she's undeniably suffered compensation damages in jurisdictions of the court, including, but not limited to, loss of wages. All that's going over again. And then they sign it, they send it off to the judge, right? So that's the first one out. That's the biggest read that we had to go through. It paints Jeff in a bad light, but that's what it's supposed to do. I personally think a lot more of it comes down to incompetence because I don't like him. So it goes out. Let's see how. Boom. On December 11th, the judge picks up the request. Then we have the attorney case opens filing to check for quality control. They go through the summons. Kind of all this is not really important. They ask for some consent and time. Where is the next? All right. Letter requesting pre-motion conference by Jeff Tarzaria. This statement is one of these motions, I think, are one of the things that I've seen a lot of misinformation about from Smash's mouth, right? The first thing he said was, this is his motion to dismiss. And then he came back and said, well, it's not a motion to dismiss. It's the rules of the court that you have to do a pre-motion, that this is just a rule being followed. But neither of those are true. This is a pre-motion, and I looked up what a pre-motion is, and it's something that happens before it goes to court. It's technically it's going to court now, Vincent. The last motion to dismiss means, like, you can't put in from what I understand as not being a lawyer and from what I've read, once you put in the motion to assist, it's going to court, but it's the last motion is the one that was actually to the court. These other ones were directly to the judge. So they're pre-motions before the court starts. And it was made by Jeff's counsel. Yeah. It was made by, it's one that's just come out. Smash has read about it because he has the document, but the document isn't showing yet. Only the letter that it's supposedly that it's attached to. So what this is Jeff's attorney going to the judge and saying, hey, judge, this is bullshit. We need to go ahead and shut this shit down, right? I've heard Jeff say that it's very silly. His hype videos about all this are the big yeah, and that's silly. Well, that's the thing, like him coming out and saying, like, this is it, we're about to get it dismissed, and then Ron probably telling him, no, that's probably not going to happen, because Ron's probably told him that it's very uncommon for a pre-motion to go through. And at least I've heard Smash say that. I don't know if that's true. I could assume that too, that it's very rare for the judge to just make a case on it. But here we are. Let's see what old Coleman says. Defendant seeks to file a motion to dismiss the complaint pursuant of federal blah, 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 based on lack of personal jurisdiction. So the first thing, and this is where I have no idea about, so I'm not going to talk about it a lot, is where is the jurisdiction for this case? Because it all happened online. Smash is in California. She's in New York. Coleman's in New York, so that's where Smash's lawyer is. Basically, they're saying, like, they don't have jurisdiction. They also did say on a stream that I was watching, there's a chance Smash gets a liberal judge too. Then he's just cooked. I don't know completely about that. I want to have hope that judges don't take their political takes into it, but I've seen conservative judges definitely do that. So no jurisdiction. The court continually recognizes that placing defamation content on the internet and making access to public does not constitute a transaction of business in New York, even when it is likely to be, that the material will be read by New Yorkers. So he's saying that, man, I got to stop. Y'all are killing my throat. Basically saying that, like, hey, just because he put something online doesn't mean that someone in New York reading it makes it, a transaction of business. And then who commits? Here's the complainant's jurisdiction allegation. This is what her jurisdiction states, except as in the cause of action for defamation, a character arising in the act. This is what he's highlighting. Basically saying that since the illegal thing happened in California, and because because the things that happened in California, this law specifically exempts defamation from the character. And that's kind of their claim, is that it's a lot of this that we're going to see with them, at least with Coleman, is they're riding on the idea of throw out the defamation, throw out everything. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how that'll go, but I would feel like it would be more than that. Like there's more than the defamation doesn't constitute the rest of the harassment. Well, at least in my mind. I don't know about legally. Failure to state a claim. Focusing, however, on the factual allegations against Mr. Tarzini, it is clear that the claims against him are legally deficient, although plaintiff claims include, in addition to defamation, the other things that are involved. Plaintiff is a public figure, thus bears the burden of plausibly alleging all required elements of defamation, including actual malice. Yeah, I did see the that suing thing. That's interesting. That was one of his clients, right? Boop. The truth is, so yeah, this is another thing that's being contested. So there's two things that I think are going to make a big difference in this case. If the jurisdiction falls through, the whole case is done. If she's seen as a public figure, it's going to make it harder for her to prove the defamation portion, right? I don't know where she sits as a public figure. I was kind of lightly looking online on what they consider journalists to be. And on a non-legal thing, they consider them semi-public figures. I don't know how they would consider them legally, though. Conclusionary allegations that the statements were false are insufficient. So they're basically saying here the statements are false. It's insufficient proof that they've actually met the standard, right? That you need proof that he knew it was false. You wouldn't even consider her much around anymore. I mean, at this point, she's famous because of Smash. Before that, I don't really know. I know I never heard of her until Smash. The operative allegations here, and these are the numbers on the thing, which allege that the defendant referred to the plaintiff as a whore. One thing I will say, they never said Jeff was calling her calling her a whore. It might have been implied, but it comes down to the sucking dick statement. She tries to cover Grum's scams, which was a catalyst of their obsessive with covering his ass. It inspired Dizzle to do more instead. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Regarding the allegations of 1.8, the defendant submits that the word whore is a highly charged social media landscape of mid-2020s and is susceptible to many meanings and not defamatory. Fuck me. Fuck me. All right, I'm just going to keep it unmuted. I am terrible at this. All right, let's start this again. What was it about here? So I'm gonna have to cut this up and cut out my thing. So basically saying that they say Jeff is calling her a whore, and that she has said that she's a sex worker. We're gonna get to this one real soon, because this one kind of makes him look bad. And then basically saying the defendant submits that in light of the Twitter post shown above, the plaintiff cannot meet this burden, that each and every claim for relief in the complaint suffers from comparable deficiencies, that plaintiffs do not have a plausible path to amending the complaint, and that New York's anti-SLAPP law entitles defendant to relief, including attorney's fees and costs. So they're saying that throw it all out, right? Because she has said she's a sex worker, and that's not defamatory. He really didn't go over any of the other cases or any of the other claims. It's kind of like it's all based off of the defamation. Throw it out. Another kind of misinformation that we put around this is around these particular motions, is the implication that she's had to rewrite this multiple times, and she has rewritten it once, but that's not how this particular section works, right? So the order of motion was pre-motion conference. The courts direct plaintiff to respond to defendant's request for the pre-motion conference on defendant's anticipated motion to dismiss on or before February 28th, 2025. Ordered by the judge. This isn't something that, one thing I've seen is claimed as like, oh, her first document was shit, so she's having to make up for it. She's got to pull more shit out of the bag, and that's not what's happening here. She made her initial complaint. They made their motion to dismiss. She gets to respond to that dismissal, and we have that dismissal. Boop. Again, I'm not going over the jurisdiction stuff in full. It's just a lot that I don't know where I could even sit on it. She says because his website is in New York, and because he has friends in New York, and because Kotaku is in New York, and all of these other things, that it meets the standard for it being done in New York, right? I have no idea how that'll go. And then I wonder, if she fails in New York, can she then go into California and sue? New York, New York. Defendant seeks to file a motion to dismiss, essentially exclusively briefing defamation doctrine. While some claims overlap, in particular, plaintiff's harassment and prima facie tort claims are based on separate statements and acts, not merely the same defamation statement as the defamation claim. Plaintiff is not claiming the personal details like her address and so on the defendant shared are false, nor is she solely claiming reputable harm for the harassment. That places this case outside of the narrow rule defendant site, where the allegation harm suffered by the plaintiffs is not precisely the same as that caused by defamation, namely harm to the plaintiff's reputation. The court should decline the constructive claim of defamation. Defendant inserts the word whore into statements at issue where actual statements are purely factual. ALyssa Mercante was sucking dick for money. Shortened it out, like what plaintiff does, sucking dick for money. So they're basically saying, hey, it's not about calling her a whore, it's about making this statement on the horrification. And then while it is quoted repeatedly throughout defendant's letter, importantly, whore does not appear in the complaint anywhere. Horrification appears, but is not defendant said about plaintiff. It was what triggered defendant's more specific claims. Horrification, what's that? Like what ALyssa said, blah, 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 blah. In this context, defendants resort to a dictionary, and his letter is particularly strange since he provides his own contextual definition. While you use the word horror, this is what he said back on the other one. While you use the word horror, you can have multiple partners, multiple meanings. But it's not, oh no, this is what she says. As a result, it might be susceptible to means the same and is not true of sucking dick for money. So basically, saying sucking dick is different than saying she's a whore. Yeah, well, I don't think she's even claimed to work for OnlyFans, right? It was just that she was a cam girl at some point. Maybe even before OnlyFans was a thing. The closest statement we'll see later. We'll see some other statements in a minute. The real question is next. Plaintiff intends to amend to at least make the decision on the motion easier. But given the lack of content in the defendant's letter, much of the purpose of Rule 15 is not served by the amendment without more detail on exactly why the defendant thinks the complaint is ill-pled. If, for example, the defendant's argument really is the sexist, saw that anyone who has multiple sex partners may be freely accused of specific sex acts for money, or in the argument that the defendant is so sexist, he believes that this is kind of lefty, then there is little need to amend. On the other hand, one hopes there is a little more meat on the bones, and plaintiff would like to amend to address that meat. The court's individual practices do not specify whether amendment as the right should follow a pre-motion letter or a full motion. Thus, while the plaintiff intends to amend, she would appreciate the court's indication on whether it would be preferred plaintiff do so or after a full motion, or perhaps slightly better explained in pre-motion letter. So basically they've said like the only thing they're focusing on is the defamation. There's more to it than the defamation, but we'll clarify more. They also said they wanted to add more information in that has previously come to light in here to address some post-filing conduct that bears in the claims. So basically every time Smash talks about her or more stuff comes up, she's pulling it into the evidence, and some of them she's added to, which is now I'd listen to Smash read this. Where is it? Where's the first one? Letter of pre-motion. Ron Coleman. Letter of motion her. I watched Smash read this, and this is why I started to kind of think incompetence on his side. I would like to know what his thinking was. I'm going to read this statement, and then I'm going to tell you what Jeff thought. Order denying 7 defendants' letter motion for a pre-motion conference, the court directs the parties to confer, or order denying, directs the parties to confer and file a postponed brief schedule for the defendant's motion to dismiss and the plaintiff's proposed amended complaint on or before March 14th. Smash said that this was good for them because they denied ALyssa, or God, I wish I could remember the exact words now. But he was talking about this in a positive light, like our case is winning, it's all getting better. But this clearly states the defendant was denied letter of motion to dismiss. So this was actually a win for ALyssa. Now, from what I said, I've heard him say later on after the second one, is that it's very rare for someone to get a pre-motion to go through to dismiss, right? and which would make sense to me because judges wouldn't want to necessarily just dismiss something without seeing, I guess, all the evidence and discovery. It'd be very like egregious cases that would be thrown out. So they're doing the scheduling back and forth, and then we get to the amended complaint. Whoops. Is this the amended complaint? Where's all my yellow? Or is it this one? Nope, that's the one that's... Oh, there it is. It's down. It's way down there. So there are some few additions added at the top. Let's see. What was this? This was this section right here. I didn't color in because it's mostly about the jurisdiction, and then the followers on his command amplifying it, which they go about more down in the bottom where we're going to see. Oh, no, this was it. Why did this not get yellowed? All right, anyway, we'll start here then. Tarzi followers echo what he says. They create their own set of videos amplifying what Jeff says while stoking harassment, rape, and death threats. Sounds really bad. It does not appear that any of Jeff's downstream commentators edit or verify his claims. The claims will often contain the same minor mistakes or errors in wording that Jeff claims contain. These false statements serve as a kind of mount weasel dictionary. A mount weasel is a decoy entry in reference work, such as a dictionary or an unlimited source of information. So they use Jeff as their source, and I agree. I say most of them don't do anything more than read his article, though that has changed a little bit. All of Jeff's intent by them was by design. The ecosystem would not exist without him. That I agree with for the most part. The ecosystem leads to rape threats, death threats, and unlawful harassment. This I can say this is hard to dismiss, right? While it might not necessarily be the people who we're about to talk about, it does. We know for certain it does stoke harassment towards her. But how will that harassment be viewed by the court when it kind of comes through? Prominent inhabitants of his ecosystem are Toasty with the Mosty, 69. Rev says Desu. I don't know. This one I didn't know about. Or I don't think they talk that much. I know he covers ALyssa, but I don't know that he covers Smash's stuff, does he? Apic Eric, who is basically up Smash's ass. And thought there was one more. Did I miss them? We got these ones. Nobody is in there later. And I didn't dark out his name because he's announced it. So if he has a problem with that, he can talk to me about it. But the others, their personal names, I don't know if they're out there, so I'm not going to be the guy to put them out there. Though I think Smash already has. And then here's some of the videos that we see. Examples of quasi mount weasels are ALyssa Mercante will not stop. ALyssa Mercante wants to be Smash JT's editor. ALyssa Mercante is seething over YouTube roasting her. She is spiraling. That same day, okay, and this is where she's kind of connecting them all together. Like within the same day, they will make a video on what Smash made. So you kind of seeing where like it's not just one incident. It's this and this. Like Smash will say it. All his predecessors will say it. All of their audiences will go and start these harassments and different things like that. Like what is the line for free speech on that? Because it's clear that what they're doing is silencing her free speech. But how accountable is Smash for everyone's? That's what I think is going to be interesting about this case. Alyssa Mercante and Sweet BB Inc. CEO caught scrubbing Twitter accounts. This was a crazy one to me. It's seething over YouTubers roasting her. She's spiraling. Atreus. That was the other one. Atreus was on there. Here's the Rev says Desu. Is that his? Definitely a Smash video, but how many does he have? I don't put him on the same level as, say, like 8-Bit Eric or Atreus or, Will. So this one talks about the claim that Mercante deleted anything grew out of Jeff's disingenuous presentation of some data he found. Mercante didn't delete anything. Rather, after the 2024 presidential election, a large number of people deleted their Twitter accounts. And 30 days later, those account deletions became permanent and their tweets went away. When that happened, Mercante's own retweets of those tweets also disappeared. I don't know the truth in this. I do know that the anti-woke love to take one piece of information and without any context of what it's actually saying or meaning, put it down as fact. 30 days later, those account deletions became permanent. As relevant here, however, the reputation of misguided claims. So it's kind of more misguided claims. On January 11th, 2025, excuse me. I'm not muted. Fuck. All right. I may have to come back to this because my throat is eating me alive right now. So how about this? We might have to do this 2 parts, and then I can cut it up and make it more readable. I'll go ahead and call it a night here, and we'll start with this document tomorrow, or we'll start with this document again on Monday. All right? Because I don't know that I can make it through all of that. So we'll see what's going on, but I'll go ahead and end it here because I keep muting to cough and hack up, and then I forget that I'm muted. So anyway, we'll talk to you next time, guys. There's more to come in this case. This particular document is interesting, and what happens after too. So all right, guys. Well, y'all have a wonderful night, and I will talk to you later.